Tri-Tronics presents Trained Retrieve for Spaniels, Retrievers, and Pointing Dogs with Jim and Phyllis Dobbs. Part 2, Fetch. Before proceeding with Fetch, the dog should have learned how to turn off the collar by coming toward you. This process is described in your Tri-Tronics manual and in the 3-action introduction video.
This video is the second of 2 videos on the trained retrieve. The first was on hold, where we taught the dog to hold birds properly, not to chew or drop them.
Hold.
In part 1, we also transitioned to the use of the Tri-Tronics collar so that you could reinforce hold from a distance. We think of hold as a stationary command of the mouth. We will now proceed to fetch, which is an action command. Go get it and pick it up.
Fetch. Here. Sit. Out.
Before proceeding with the fetch, it is best if you finish teaching hold, as it is very difficult to go back and establish mouth control once the dog has developed bad habits. In this video, as in the previous video, we will use the sound from our monitor whenever we push the button on the transmitter so that you will hear the proper timing. In this video, we will show training sessions with Buster and Hank so that you can see what commonly happens during a regular work session. After showing you these sessions, we use Raider to go through a few drills for those of you who will require more advanced retriever work. We will also incorporate a work session with Hank on one of these drills. But first, Jim and Brian and Missy here are going to demonstrate the training sequence for fetch. This will give you an overview of the steps we use before we proceed to the actual training sessions.
In this training clip, Jim will show you what he's looking for before going from the hold command to the fetch command. He'll then show the dog progressing to the action of reaching forward and down.
Okay, we're going to use Brian's dog, Missy. How old is she, Brian?
Almost 2.
Almost 2. And she's far enough along that we can show the trained fetch. So the prerequisite before we get into the fetch would be that the dog will open its mouth when you place an object in front of its mouth when you say hold. I don't ask that the dog reach for it at this time, but if it'll open its mouth to shut the pressure off, that tells me I can make the transition to fetch. So let's try that again. Okay, she obviously has that. So we'll rig her up now with a little Velcro strap around her leg. Now, if you pinch a dog's ear, see her natural tendency was to turn around and bite back up at my hand. So a dog's natural tendency is to bite towards the pressure. What we're trying to elicit is biting down and forward rather than up and back. So we prefer the technique using the string around the toes. It just forms a half hitch like this, so that when we pull on the string, it pinches the 2 center toes together. All right, yeah. Good. So if we pull on the string, the dog bites down and forward. I did that as an example just so you can see the dog's natural tendency when you apply that type of pressure. So now if we place an object between the dog's toe and mouth, it's going to be much simpler. Fetch, out. Good girl. Fetch. As soon as the dog shows me that she'll reach down and forward and fetch like that, then we can incorporate the use of the collar, just simply by wrapping the string around the transmitter, out, push the bottom button at the same time we pull on the string. Fetch. Good. Out. Now, after you've done that a couple times, you can take the string off of the toe, leave it wrapped around the transmitter, and prove to yourself that the dog is really turning off the pressure from the electric collar rather than just moving with the toe pinch. Fetch. No question about it. Nice reaction. Brian's got that built in there. Real nice. Reaches forward. So that's all I need of the string. String's just a temporary aid to make a smooth transition in getting the dog to bite down and forward.
Now we'll have the dog progress from reaching for the object to picking it up.
Okay, we're going to ask the dog to reach forward a couple inches straight out in front of its muzzle. We do not feed the object into the dog's mouth when we say fetch. We always put it in the dog's mouth when we say hold. They're two distinctly different commands. Fetch means reach for it. If we put it in the dog's mouth, we've done the behavior. We want the dog to do that. So we'll just place it in front of the dog's muzzle, fetch, she reaches, and you can tie that together with the hold training, walking up and down the table. And Brian can stop anywhere he wants. The dog stops, he can take the dumbbell. Okay, we'll just turn her around here again, and then just go ahead and just with repetition, move it out a little further and down away from the dog's muzzle each time. And this time, just put one end of the dumbbell on the surface of the table. And I should mention that when you put the object on the surface of the table, it's a natural barrier when you take your hand away from it, because the picture changes. And the dog relies so much on body language that it's had many repetitions of fetching when you were holding the dumbbell. But when you aren't holding it, as I said, it's a natural barrier. Your hand isn't involved with it, and many times the dog won't pick it up. So it takes several repetitions of gradually moving your hand away from the dumbbell.
Good dog.
That's a good girl. Yeah, that's a good girl. Fetch. This is where the length of the table becomes apparent too. It lets the dog free up as they walk up and down the length of the table after they've fetched. They feel successful. Now his hand, you can go ahead and take your hand clear out of the picture.
Fetch.
All right. Now, first thing we did was teach the dog just to move forward a couple inches on fetch. And now that we're going to stretch the dog out a little bit, it works a lot better if you start off with the dog in motion. So Brian will walk down the table and say fetch as he's moving.
Fetch.
And the next step will be to just place it out in front, stationary.
Fetch.
And then the last step is to see if the dog will leave your side while you remain stationary and pick the object up about halfway down the table.
Here. Fetch.
We need to do that again.
Fetch.
Real good. When the dog will leave your side and you're standing still, and she'll go forward and fetch like that, that's my signal that the dog can go off of the table and fetch off of the ground. So we can take her off the table now, and let's try it right here.
Now, with the dog on the ground, we'll repeat the lessons it has learned on the table.
Okay, first retrieve we're going to make off the ground, we're going to provide attraction by tossing it down on the ground, telling the dog to fetch it.
Fetch.
Let the dog walk around, free up, come back. Now the next one, we're going to place it down there on the ground without throwing it. That doesn't have the same attractiveness as tossing it down there. So now will the dog leave our side and go pick it up on the ground? So we'll get her facing that dumbbell so she's focused on it.
Fetch.
Okay. Now, to add a little more control to it, we're going to have Brian heel right past that and not allow her to pick it up unless she's told to. So the correction won't be with a collar, it'll just be a little leash pop with no heel if she tries to pick it up.
Heel. No, heel. Heel. Heel.
Okay, now this time have her pick it up as you go by.
Fetch.
Real good. Now that the dog is showing an obvious response to the command fetch, when reinforced, let's check her out and make sure that she'll fetch quickly without any reinforcement. And from this point on, we'll only reinforce the fetch command if we have to give it a second time.
Fetch.
Very nice.
Here.
Now take her off leash. Okay, now we'll check all this out and we'll toss a bird out here and see how she does on that.
Fetch. Here. Out.
Real good. Now we could take her out into the field and tie it all together.
Now, Jim will train some dogs through the various steps you've just seen. This will allow you to see what might happen during a typical training session. He will start by teaching the dog to reach forward and down.
This is Buster's first session on the trained retrieve or the command fetch. We completed the hold, and now we're going to ask him to reach for the object. So we'll use the same form of pressure to begin with, the ear pinch, and we'll put it right up in front of his mouth and see if he'll open his mouth to accept it. He did. That's your signal that tells you that you can progress, and ask the dog now, not only open your mouth, but just reach a little bit for it. Out. So I'm going to hold it a couple inches away and see if we can get him to reach now. Hold. Out. Then we can make the transition to the command fetch. Fetch. Out. The difference between the hold command and the fetch command is that hold means hang on to it. Fetch means reach for it. Fetch. Out. And that'll be the end of using the ear to reinforce fetch. I just do it a couple times, and then we'll make the transition to the string on the toe. When you apply pressure to the toe, they'll move their head down and forward. Fetch. Out. Fetch. Out. Now I'll try a few different objects. Just fetch. Out. If we hadn't have thoroughly prepared him on the hold command, he would have dropped that pipe then. Then we would have been in a big battle reinforcing hold rather than the fetch. So it's very important to get that hold down thorough before you start the fetch command. Fetch. Good boy, huh? Yeah. Out. Fetch. Out. Now we'll try him out on a pigeon. Fetch. That's a good boy. Out. Fetch. Good. Oh, hold. Good hold. You see him start to mouth there? That being able to tell him hold and have it mean something to him nips that right in the bud. If he hadn't really understood that hold meant keep your mouth still, then he'd get into trouble, meaning he'd develop the habit of chewing and develop mouth problems. Out. Now I'll try a little bigger bird. Fetch. Hold. Mm-hmm. It's a good boy. Out. We've come quite a ways in one session. If I can get him to take this bird a couple times, we'll end the session on that. Fetch. Out. Good boy. Fetch. That's a good dog. Out. That's a good dog. That'll end this session. He's a really good dog. He's just advancing very quick.
We will now transition from using the tow hitch to using the Tritronics collar to reinforce your fetch command.
Hey, Buster. Good boy. All right. Hey. This is Buster's second session on fetch. Let's get him rigged up here. Just run the lead. Through his collar, around the post. Now he can move a little bit, but he can't really go anywhere. Good boy. Get our string out here. We'll put this right around his leg, like we had it for the last session. That's a good boy, yeah. Bring it right under there. Now we've got you. Now we're going to wrap the string right around the transmitter so that we can pull on the string and push the transmitter buttons at the same time. So we'll start this off an easy object, just for review. Fetch. Good boy. Out. Fetch. Good. Out. Out. It's a good boy. Now we'll just take the string off of here so he can reach further down. The way we had him rigged up, he couldn't take off and go anywhere, but it also prevented him from reaching all the way down to the table surface. Fetch. Good. That's it. That's a good boy. Out. Fetch. Good boy, Buster. Out. Fetch. Oh, what a fine dog. Out. Fetch. That's a boy. Hold. Out. Fetch. Hang on, boy. That's it. Hold. That's very good. Again, that's where that hold command pays off. He has true understanding that that means keep your mouth still. When he starts chomping on the bird there, just that reminder, hold. You can see he just stopped it right then. Out. It's a good boy. Fetch. Hold. Out. That's a good dog. Mm-hmm. Now let's see if we can take the string off of his toe and just use the collar to reinforce the commands. The command fetch. I'll leave the string on his leg, so I'll still pull on it, but there won't be any pressure on his toes at all. The only pressure will come from the application of the collar. So we'll start over using the easier objects. Fetch. Yeah. Hold. Out. Fetch. Fetch. Out. Whoop. Fetch. We're going to need to go up.
When Jim increases the intensity level, he'll review the previous step. In this instance, he'll reapply the toe hitch.
Now we raise the intensity level up. We're going to pick up where we left off. Fetch. Good boy. Out. Fetch. That looks a lot better. Just raising that intensity level up one level. Just instead of resistance, you see him out, letting go of it with some, you can see him reach for it with some intent. Fetch. Out. He's got that down, he says. Let's see if I can take the string off now. Now let's see if he'll still fetch, just using the collar without any toe pinch. We've still got the string around his leg, but not attached to his toe. Fetch. Looked real good. Out. Now I've got the string clear off of his leg. Fetch. Now we've made the transition to the collar without the toe pinch. And I'd like to end the session right there. That's the end of his second session on fetch. Out. That's a good dog. Mm-hmm.
Jim will now show you how he uses momentary stimulation to correct the dog if the dog doesn't let go immediately on command.
All right. Here we go. Ready for our third session. Work on Buster. Sometimes when you're working a dog, you'll see things start to develop that you don't really care for, but for example, in Buster's last session, he wasn't letting go of the bird when I gave him the out command. So he wasn't releasing it soon enough. So I don't like to go off on tangents during my session. So on that second session, we were just making the transition from the string to the electronic collar to reinforce fetch. But this session, my goal is to teach him to let go of that bird on the command out. Hold. Out. Good dog. Out. That's a good boy, Buster. Very good. That was good. Yeah, I know. You decided you liked hanging on to those birds. Hold. Out. Very good, Buster. Very good. That's a good boy. Out. Now slow. Hold. Out. Much better. We'll end it right there. I just wanted a short session on teaching him to let go of the birds.
In this training session, you'll see the dog show understanding that a quick response will turn off stimulation.
Fetch. Good dog. Out. Fetch. Good boy. Out. Fetch. Out. Fetch. Out. Fetch. Good dog. Out. Fetch. Out. That's it, huh? All right. Okay. That's a tough session, but that puts it all together. Fetch when I tell you to, let go when I tell you to. Good boy, huh? Oh, I know, I know, I know. Huh? Okay. Hey!
Jim will now show a training session where the dog progresses from just reaching forward to leaving Jim's side on the command fetch.
This is Hank. He's just 2 years old. And let's review him. Fetch. Out. Fetch. Out. Fetch. Hold. Good hold. Out. Fetch. Good hold. You're You're a smart boy. Out. Fetch. Out. Fetch. Out. Fetch. Hold. Out. Fetch. Out. Good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy, all right. Come on. Here. Heel. Fetch. Fetch. Okay, when I gave that second command, I went from low to high. Now you can see the difference in, oh, yeah, I know what to do. Out. Come on. Come on, bud. Here, come on. Fetch. Good boy. Come on. Sit. Out. Heel. Here. Fetch. That's better. Come on. Out. When we start this, we might as well talk about, well, we start going down the table. We start it with the dog walking. It makes it a lot easier on the dog if he's already in motion. Heel. Fetch. And then we go from a stationary position. Out. And right up here is where it's a perfect time to teach that dog to present it for delivery, because he wants to get rid of it at this stage of training. Show him there's only one way I'll take it, and that's if you present it to me. And that's where you can get the nice, you know, come in and here, take it from me. Sit. And then we'll leave the dog stationary. And before I take a dog off the table, he's got to show me that he'll leave my side, go down and pick up the object without me moving forward. Fetch. Not ready, is he? Here, fetch. Out. Come on. Sit. So we'll shorten the distance up. Sit. Fetch. Good boy. Come on. That's a good boy. Sit. I'll step forward with him. Fetch. There we go. Good boy. Hold. Out. Good. Sit. Put it out a little further this time. Fetch. Good dog. All right. Sit. Good boy. Out. Sit. Now we'll see if we can get him to go all the way down the table from my side. Fetch. Yeah, not quite. Sit. Out. Sit. Fetch. Fetch. Sit. Out. And now we'll shorten the distance up. Anytime a dog starts making errors like that, you need to simplify it so the dog gets a comparison. Fetch. Step forward. Just those subtle little moves that you make. Out. Make all the difference in the world to the dog. Here. Sit. Fetch. Good dog. Oh, look at you. Hold. Out. Sit. Fetch. Good dog. All right, Hank. That's how, my boy. Hold. Sometimes you reach over top, pet him on the head. Sometimes you reach underneath, scratch him on the chest, tap on it. Out. We do that at this stage of training just so the dog doesn't get in the habit of dropping the bird when you reach for it. Sit. Fetch. Good boy. Out. Up until now, when I applied the electrical stimulus, I held the button down until the dog grabbed the object. But now that I've got distance into it and I can see the dog's really trying to comply, I let up as soon as he goes into motion. If the dog stopped and didn't go all the way, I could push the button right down and repeat the command again. But I want the dog to feel that he can turn that stimulation off through his own action of compliance. Hank, sit, fetch. And that distraction was just enough to cause him to forget his lesson. That's fine. You got to learn to work through those distractions. Sit. Out. Now we'll try, Hank, the full distance of the table, and we'll try a different object as well. I'll put this bumper at the end. Here. Sit. Fetch. There we go. That's what we're after. When a dog will leave your side without you stepping forward, he'll go the length of the table. Fetch the bumper. Then you're ready to take him off the table. If a dog won't do that, you need to be up here working on the table. Out. Sit. Fetch. Out. It's a good dog.
Now that the dog knows to turn off the collar by leaving your side, repeat the lesson using birds.
I like to confront the dog with these difficult birds right up here on this training table, so when we get out in the field, anything he encounters isn't as difficult as what he's already experienced up on the training table. Here. Sit. Fetch. Out. Sit. Sit. Fetch. Here. Sit. Out. That's better. Fetch. Here. Hold. Heel. That's good boy. Out. Fetch. Sit. Out. Another thing I think is real important, you'll notice when I take the bird in my hand and give the dog the command to release it, I want the dog to take his mouth off of the bird. All right, I will review the same thing with the dog down on the ground. Sit.
Now, with the dog on the ground, we'll repeat the lessons it has learned on the table.
First lesson, after you take the dog off the table, we just bring him down on the ground, toss a bumper, review what you've done on the table. Fetch. Sit. Drop. Sit. Fetch. Here. Sit. Drop. Sit. So now let's check the dog out on a retrieve. Tie it all together. Fetch. Good dog. Sit. Out. Now we'll do that again, but now that the dog's responding to our fetch command real well, we're going to give him an opportunity to avoid the stimulus. We're only going to push the button from now on the fetch command if the dog doesn't go on the first command. Fetch. Good dog. All right. Sit. Drop. Good boy, Raider.
If you plan to train your dog to do multiple marks and blind retrieves, you should incorporate the following drills in your training.
The next exercise we're going to do teaches the dog not to pick up just everything he comes along and finds. That he picks up something when he's told to, but when he delivers a bird to hand and you put it on the ground, he's not grabbing back at it all the time. So this just adds more control to the retrieve. So what we're going to do is place 3 bumpers approximately 20 feet apart. Then when we're halfway between the bumpers, about 10 foot from one, we'll give the dog the command to fetch. Heel. Then at random, we would just go fetch. The dog picks it up, walk in a little circle, go right back where he picked it up from. Drop. You can drop it behind you. Heel. It's all in place again. Heel. So at random, we're going to select which one he picks up. Let's say the dog tried to grab one without being told to. The correction would be no, heel. You wouldn't want to use the collar because you could confuse the dog on that. As you're doing this exercise, you'll tell the dog to take one when you're about halfway to it, between bumpers. Fetch. If he picks it up, great. Sit. Out. Heel. If he doesn't, on the second command, you'd reinforce it with a collar now. Fetch. Fetch. So a nice quick pickup. Sit. Drop. Heel. If the dog gets over top of a bumper as you're walking along and you've told him to pick it up, just make a tight circle, fetch, come right back in, step on the fetch. By stepping on the end of the bumper like that and keeping him moving forward in a circle, it just keeps it real smooth. Out. Okay.
We will now repeat the 3-in-a-row drill using birds. Once the dog is trying to pick up the birds quickly, do not use the collar every time. Instead, give him a chance to avoid stimulation.
So first thing we're going to do is walk the dog along these 3 birds on the ground, and if he tries to pick one up, before I tell him to, I'll just give him a leash correction. I won't use the collar at that time, but I'll just give him a leash correction and tell him no. But when I tell him to pick one up, he's to pick the one up that I indicate and pick it up immediately. Anytime he snaps at a bird after he's delivered it and it's in my hand, I'll use momentary stimulation just the moment he bites at it. They'll only do that a couple times. That's a real easy problem to fix. The last thing you want to do is have a dog grab at a bird that you toss behind you. At a hunt test, you drop the bird behind you, or in a duck blind, you drop a bird. You want the dog focused out in front of you, watching for the marks, not fiddling around with birds that he's already delivered to hand. Sit. Heel. Heel. No, heel. Good dog. Yes. Heel. Fetch. Sit. Hold. Out. Heel. No. One for the dog. Heel. Fetch. Sit. Hold. Out. Heel. Fetch. Sit. Out. Heel. Fetch. Sit. Out. Heel. No. I was ready for him that time. This will add a lot more control. Fetch. Good dog. Hold. Hold. Out. Heel. Okay, Hank.
Jim will now demonstrate what to do with a dog that has a poor pickup, stands over his bird, lays down on delivery, or nips at a bird you're holding. He will also show what to do if the dog leaves after delivering the bird before being released. In this case, the dog should already know how to turn off the collar by sitting.
Okay, sometimes when you're working on the retrieve with the dog, they'll go out and stand over the bird, play around with it. Good way to indirectly reinforce fetch is with your here command. So let's see if we can get a lesson of that in with Brushy this time. Here! Good. Out. The other thing you'll notice with Brushy is that little nip back at the bird. That's unacceptable. When you take the bird from the dog, you claim it. If he has proper respect for you, that's your bird. He won't nip back at that bird. However, if you take the bird and move it quickly, that'll backfire on you. That's an invitation for a dog to bite at the bird. So if you move a bird like that, the dog follows that action. And if he's excited, that'll cause him to nip at it. So train the dog to deliver the hand properly in the first place. And then you just reach down, calmly take a hold of it, take it away from the dog. Hey, Brushy. Here. Good dog. Up. Out. Here. Good boy. Out. Out. And that time we corrected him for nipping at the bird. Now let's repeat it. Hey. Here. Good boy. Up. Out. Fine. Just let the bird alone. Just throw it for me again. Nipping's not so much fun. And that's how easy that is to correct. Hip. Hop. 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 Out. Hey. Here. Hop. 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 Brushy. Hip. Hop. Hop. Brushy. Hip. Hip. Good dog. Good boy. Now, when I take the bird from the dog, I'll give him the command to hup again real quick so that he doesn't move and start running around until he's released. Quite often, a dog will indirectly learn that when you take the bird from him, that's like a release, and he starts running around to do his own thing again. You want to teach the dog when he delivers the hand that he's to sit until he's released. Sit. That's good hup. Out, hup. Good dog. Brushy. Hip. Good boy. Hup. Out. Good. Good hup. Hup. Brushy. That's my boy. Hip. Hup. Out. Hup. Good lesson, Brushy. All right, huh? Okay.
If you plan on teaching the dog to do blind retrieves, you'll want to introduce the dog to the command back. The following drill will also give your dog a quick pickup and a prompt return.
All right, now we're going to teach the dog to pick up a bumper quick, to leave our side on the command back, even though they haven't seen the attraction of a fall. So to set this up, we've spread out different colored and sized bumpers about 18 inches to 2 feet apart. The first throw, just to identify the pile for the dog, we will provide the attraction of a throw. Fetch. Here. Anytime the dog switches bumpers, reinforce that here real quick. Out. Sit. The dog's job is to go out, pick one up. We don't care which one he picks up, but when he commits to one, that's it. He must pick it up and bring it right back to us. So now that we've identified the pile of bumpers, we will no longer need to throw one. We'll just send the dog from our side on the command back. So the stimulation will begin just as we give the command and ends as he leaves our side. Back. Good dog, huh? Good boy. Sit. Drop. Back. Good dog. Then we would just progressively move further and further away from the pile until the dog was going a distance of 100 yards. Once the dog shows you that it's leaving your side on the command back, then allow him to avoid the reinforcement. Give him a command. If he goes on the first command, you don't give a reinforced second command. If he doesn't go, then you can apply the stimulation and send him. Now if you've got a dog that still doesn't go, there's a technique that we like to use. Sit. We'll use the collar to get him moving forward in an indirect manner by reinforcing heel. Then we'd drop our hand, send him. If he still didn't go, we'd move forward some more. Applying pressure on the heel command will get him going forward away from that. Back. Good dog. Okay. So that's how we get the dog going on the back command from our side, increasing the distance and teaching him to pick one up and promptly return with it. The other thing I should mention is if the dog gets corrected out here on this pile of bumpers, and it's a beginning dog, be sure to pick that pile of bumpers up and move it off 90 degrees, send him to a new location. Then he won't be apprehensive about going to that spot again. You'll only have to reinforce that here command on this exercise half a dozen times at the most. And then when you say here, you won't have to reinforce it. He'll come real quick. After we've completed this exercise of back to a pile of bumpers, next exercise would be very similar, only it would be done on water. So we would go from here down to the edge of the water. We'd set the same exercise up and review it on land. Then we'd turn around and we'd set up the same exercise, teaching the dog to go into water to shut the stimulation off on the back command. The only difference is we'd only have one bumper floating out there in the water.
Now we'll go to the ponds to teach the dog to turn off the collar by entering water on the command back.
All right, first we'll mark the pile. Up.
Hank!
Now there's no question, the dog knows where that pile's at.
Out. Heel.
Now Phyllis will send the dog and use the collar on the back command. And the collar shut off the moment he left her side.
Good.
Now we'll turn him around, head him towards the water, and we'll repeat that same exercise. I'll throw a mark out here. Up!
Hank!
Throw him a fun bumper when he comes back.
Good boy. Here. Out. All right. Hey. Atta boy. Here. Out.
Now we'll send him to that bumper out in the water. And the stimulation will be on until the dog hits the water.
Sit. Back. Out. Good. Okay?
Yep, that'll complete the trained retrieve.
Atta boy, Hank. All right. Here. Hold.
Fetch.
That concludes our video series on the Train Retrieve. If you want more information on training videos, call 1-800-456-9494 or contact your Tritronics dealer. For those who want to go into more advanced retriever training, we suggest our book, Tritronics Retriever Training,